Hello, and welcome to Nerd Bytes. Today I'd like to talk about deployment markers in New Relic. Deployment markers is a long-time feature and often underused functionality of the New Relic platform. Whenever change occurs in your application, noting that change has occurred and correlating it with your application data is extremely useful context. Typically, we would advise you to integrate this feature with your CI/CD tool of choice so that the act of telling New Relic that something has changed is automatic. But today we're going to walk through a simple manual notification of a deployment. This is my application. I've just made a code change and I'm working on this project solo, so I don't have a tool in place. So I'm going to tell New Relic that I pushed the change live. Using our REST API Explorer, I can quickly choose Application Deployments Create and fill in the key details. We'll need an API key, your application ID, and to fill in the key information around that deployment, the revision, what's changed, and who did it. To get your application ID, you can click on the metadata and copy that application ID from here. Once I hit send request, this will send that deployment marker to New Relic to my account and mark it on my particular application. When I drop into the deployment section, I now get a full list of all the deployments that I've been making over the last history of my application. It's a snapshot in time that'll tell you what the response time, throughput, and error rate was at this point in the application at this time. And when I click in to an individual deployment, I get the key golden metrics for this application: response time, throughput, aptX, error rate, CPU utilization, physical memory, and database response time, so that I can quickly understand where this application is currently at. The gray bar on the right-hand side is because we've only just made this deployment notification. So as the next 10, 15, 20 minutes occurs and data is rolling in about the impact of this change, we'll be able to see the before, and we get the before 90 minutes, and these graphs will show the after 90 minutes as well, so that you can see how your application has performed after you've made that deployment and make a decision whether you roll back or continue with confidence because it was a successful deployment. The change log contains all the information that you gave it in the JSON, and the change report will actually break down the transactions within your application and the impact of them based on that deployment. So how was it in the previous time versus the current deployment? And you can plot that by aptX, throughput, or average response time and see if you've improved. Here we can see my previous deployment was slower for this index transaction, so we've made a good improvement. That's fantastic. Now also, we'll get deployment markers across the New Relic UI, where we'll call out that a change was made at this point in time. That gives you quick and easy context, and these lines are perpetuated to all the graphs within your summary. You can also see in the application activity stream that a deployment has occurred, and you can see key information about any anomalies or alerts that may have occurred. So now I know that an alert has occurred and the deployment occurred at roughly a similar time. The deployment marker data is also reused in other parts of the New Relic UI. So if I go to alerts, we can see in anomalies, for example, where we had an anomaly here, I can click in and we can see New Relic is evaluating that anomaly and telling you about related signals and how they were performing when that anomaly occurred. But I can see in recent activities that two recent deployments occurred. So that tells me that there was some code changes when these deviations were occurring. We also call it out in New Relic Lookout. So if you're using Lookout to understand the impact of change of right now versus a recent time window, you can click into your application of choice and you'll get that breakdown of details that Lookout is great for. But also within your application activity stream, see those anomalies, see those deployments, and understand at the time of this particular deviation or investigation that code changes were occurring. So that's really, really useful context that helps you break these problems down. So thank you for watching. I hope this episode was useful for you, and you can find links and documentation to useful resources in the video description.